What's up, guys? It's Mickey from Dynasty from the Mountaintops. We got Jimmy and Jeremy here as well. Say hi, guys.
Hey, you're so bossy. I would say hello, not hi.
That'll work. Jim, how you doing today? I don't want to get in trouble for not saying you first.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no
More
worries.
area of growth for you. Great. I have 3 more wake ups and I'm on break for 2 weeks, so it's going great.
The perks of being a teacher. Jeremy, how you doing, man?
Doing well. I clinched the finals in my league where I'm a defending champ, so I'm hoping to repeat.
In
Finals
a 2
already.
week in a 2 week playoff, I don't like it.
Yes, 2-week playoff.
Wow, that's
I
quick.
don't support it.
This week starts, yes. So we don't have a game the very last week, which kind of works out because then there's a lot of starters that sit due to playoff clinches and such.
And your first round of playoffs is during bye weeks. That's weird.
Wait, so you played 14, 15, 16?
I'm not a commissioner in this league, so I apologize.
So you play 14, 15, 16 and leave the last 2 weeks
17.
as nothing?
Yeah, 14, 15, 16, 17.
4 weeks.
Yeah, so that's how the playoff format is. So it would be the first and second place teams have a bye. Third and sixth, 4 and 5 for 2 weeks, and then the winners of those two play first and second for 2 weeks. That just wrapped up, so it's a 6-week total playoff, and then I'm entering these 2 next weeks as the finals.
Wow, that's a lot that's 6 weeks of playoffs. Wow, that's a lot.
Yes, I mean it's pros and cons to it because like you run into the bye weeks, but in the same sense, it avoids you being 11-0 and then walking in there and having Josh Allen put up 60 and your season's over.
It's been quite nice for me, I will say that.
So it's kind of like a pro and con situation.
Unless he puts up 50 and 30 2 weeks in a row,
That's then yeah, but it kind of helps. It kind of helps that safety net in regards to kind of stretching it out a little bit more into that.
Right.
But again, I'm not the commissioner. I just joined the league and I keep winning. So that's about where it's at.
Hey, as long as you keep winning, that's all that matters, right? That's how I feel.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're going to quick rundown here. What we learned from the first week of the playoffs is going to be the first thing we talk about here. Running back injury pivots. And then if we have some time, which we probably won't because we always talk too much, we're going to...
We already have.
Already have, yeah.
One tangent already.
Or 3 minutes in, 4 minutes in, we still haven't even started. So we're going to look at semis outlook for the DVP League and golf if we have time. Just kind of wrap things up. Like I said, I don't know if we're going to make that or not. But first off, what we learned from this weekend, the first round of playoffs. So we'll go with Jimmy. What did you learn this week?
Oh, I don't know. I might have more questions still. But I think if I'm in the playoffs, I'm pushing. I'm going for it. And I think I saw too many teams in my 3 dynasty leagues sit back, not push all their chips in, not get the trade done. I think we talk a lot on here about don't let up a second or a third, hold up a trade. And you saw that with the Amon deal where I got 3 first, and he was not willing to go for that 3rd first when we were trading. But I threw in a 3rd and a 4th, and he got it done. And guess what? He won. You take away his massive day, and I was actually talking to both owners, trying to just stir up the price. And one guy made the deal, one guy didn't, and the guy who didn't went home, and he still got his first. Yeah, it's gonna be a nice 108, but I'd rather still be in the playoffs. And I think sometimes we learned this over the course of years that I think teams, owners think that, that 108, that 109, that's going to save my team. That's going to be my running back. That's going to be my next starting receiver. And that's going to carry my team and take them to the next echelon and get me to a championship. But you were just in the playoffs. You were the 4 seed, the 5 seed. You win, you're in the semis. You're playing for money now. And to keep that first in your pocket, I think is a huge mistake.
I 100% agree with you. We, in our golf league, me and you got 3 trades done. I got 2, you got 1. Yours was a huge trade for Amon-Ra St. Brown. But the person who got Chuba Hubbard off me wouldn't pay the price for Jahmyr Gibbs. And I was just like, and he lost as well.
Yep.
And I was like,
that was the same owner. I was talking to as well. Like I was literally saying, okay, I sent an offer, and I know he's a very process thinker, so I need to speed up his brain sometimes, and I do it more out of fun. But I was like, okay, I countered. I'm waiting for a response, and then he's like, well, give me where we're at. And I'm like, too late. He's already accepted it. Like that's just how things move this time of year.
Yeah, and I mean, Jameer pulled off a 26-pointer for me, but I didn't really want it.
Jameer now is RB1, so like I mean, you obviously can't predict a injury, but like the value of Gibbs 3 days ago versus now is just crazy.
The minute that I found out that David Montgomery was injured, he went on the trade block instantly because I was like, look, I know I'm not going to be good for the next couple of years, and you have to make.
What do you mean you're not going to be good for the next couple of years? You were like the third highest point getter this year in golf.
Yeah, I got rid of players.
You got rid of one player. You've traded Chuba.
I traded Chuba. I traded Sam Darnold.
Okay, but that was smart. He might not even be starting next year. Like you don't. You're still in a good spot.
There's not 32 or 31 quarterbacks better than him.
No, I agree. But you already have 2 starting quarterbacks. Like that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. Well, do I? Kirk Cousins, really? Anyway, we'll move on from that.
Penix.
I've been waiting for him. But Jeremy, what did you learn from this weekend? Since Jimmy still has a bunch of questions that he can't answer.
I have one big one. I know that.
No, it's just this weekend just highlighted the importance of depth pre-playoffs. I lost Montgomery. I now have him in 3 of my 4 dynasty leagues. So I mean, the one playoff team was impacted, but nevertheless, it's just highlighted the importance of depth on my team. I lost Puka for 8 games this year. CMC was obviously CMC. Rice I had for a quarter after I traded for him. So like the amount of depth. Now I lost Monty. So, but I'm still in the finals, and I'm still kind of toying between players to put in my final 2 flex spots. So like I feel that my depth has helped me.
Yeah, and if you, I would reiterate that as well. Make sure you have depth. But if your depth is hurt or you don't have any extra depth, anything like that, and you do have a no trade time frame, make the moves. Like that's I can't believe people are making moves to win money, especially money.
And to my point, that's where my early trading comes into play, because even this particular league, I do have a trade deadline, so it's kind of like reading a play. It's necessarily, again, you can't really predict injuries, but it's like, okay, well, if I try to move these picks and I have a little bit too much depth, that to me is not necessarily a problem, especially in the times post trade deadline.
Well, I think on top of that too, it's always like, I know when I make trades, like, hey, give me an extra third, throw in a second. Like you want to have the draft capital as well to make these moves. Like I know I might have lost Kamara and Kenneth Walker this week, heading to my semifinals. But you know what I'm not going to do? Nothing. I'm going to do something. So that's why I still have extra seconds. I still have extra thirds. I have a little bit of depth. Like I can still make moves. So like, but yeah, like I think throw your chips in. Like deal with the future in the future. But right now is about winning, and that's what playoffs should be.
100%. I 100% agree with that.
And just to clarify, that's a great point by him, because that's what I utilized to acquire those age players and to acquire sub depth is those mid-tier picks. So to just to play off Jim's excellent point.
Yeah, like I don't want to make those picks in a rookie draft, but I do want to throw those into trades to acquire points. Now that's especially in the golf league where I think Jeremy, you and I were talking today about the 201 is the 16th pick. Like I don't know if maybe it will catch up, or I don't know if people realize or not, but like these second and third round picks in a 14-team league don't mean as much, but I'd rather have those points now. And that's what I've been trying to, like, if you look at I have all the first basically in that league, but I have very few seconds and thirds because I'm like, okay, if I can throw that into a trade to get a first, that's what's helped me acquire extra first throughout this past year.
Absolutely. No. And a couple of things I would just kind of turn this here. A couple of things that I thought we learned this weekend, the last 2 weekends, in my opinion, are even great players have bad days. On Thursday, I was looking at a 0 from Cooper Kupp, and I was like dreading the rest of the weekend. Luckily,
you're still dreading, but the guy was still shouldn't even been in the playoffs.
Luckily, we had 5 really good teams and one that wasn't, and I was the one who got to play the one who wasn't. So. He made the playoffs. He could have. I mean, he would have had to make a couple big moves to make any sense of it, but I don't think it would have made sense anyway. Ride a heater, and who I think about when I say this is Jerry Judy.
Well, maybe not
keeps
anymore.
producing.
Yeah, I mean he's playing fantastic, but they're putting in DTR.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
He's a young guy. Might as well see what you got.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what this is. This is the depth thing. This is okay. What are we looking at in the off-season situation?
Well, this isn't let's look to the future. This is a what did I learn this past weekend?
No, I'm just but I'm saying yes, ride the heater, but also the heater might be over. That's our point.
Yeah, and know when the heater's over, I guess. And then don't question the spot. Me and you had a long conversation, Jim. I think even before Jeremy started on the podcast, that CD was going to be done with Cooper Rush. In the last 2 weeks, he's only went out and scored 40 points total.
Yes, but I mean, to look back at our situation, the reality is that by not making a move, it also cost you the playoffs. So that's the tricky part, right?
I don't think it did.
Maybe it's a bigger conversation of when to hold pat, when to make a move, right? Because I look at our DVP team of, that team that snuck in like playing 4 tight ends, like he didn't have enough draft capital in the world to make a difference. So I kind of understand him going out the way he did, but like there's some teams in the golf league that should have made a move, and you making that move, yes, it probably ended up being equal, but it would have got you in the playoffs. So it's tricky.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that you're saying that CD Lamb, me not making a move on CD Lamb, who is number 4 overall wide receiver, was a bad move. That's questionable to me.
It cost me. That's other things the playoffs.
I think there were other things that I need to do to make a bigger splash, such as
the reality is
not wait on Kirk Cousins.
If CD got the points that CD got, well, how? Because I'm neutral in this aspect. If CD got the points that CD got, then how are you indicating that the non-move of CD is what cost him the playoffs?
Because honestly, it came down to 1 week. Amon scored 5 more points than CD Lamb, and Mickey would have won that matchup, and he would have been in the playoffs. It really came down to 5 points. And you could look at maybe a different move, a different quarterback, that's fine, but the reality is if he makes that move, he's in the playoffs, and he probably is in the semifinals right now.
Well, yeah, he scored the highest amount of points in the entire league this past week. Again. But anyway, we don't want to talk about my crappy team that took 9th place in that division or in that league. But yeah, don't question the spot. That's where I kind of went from this. Like, Malik Neighbors 8-2.
Yeah. And I think it's
who throwing to him? Like
to piggyback off that, Mickey, I think it's also about like ride the studs. Don't question it. Like, don't get cute. Like, oh, AJ Brown's been struggling. I'm gonna put in Darnell Mooney. Like, no, don't get cute. Write out your stars because you'll have more regret benching AJ Brown than starting him and him having a bad week.
Luckily, I didn't pay for Devonta Smith having that monster game against the Steelers, watching him on my bench. You know what I mean? So those are things you always have to think about is we also were proving this whenever Geno Smith started as quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks and everyone was fading Lockett and Metcalf. Metcalf was, a top 10 wide receiver that year? You just never worry about the spot. The guys who are the cream of the crop are going to rise to the top. But yeah, did you guys learn anything else this weekend, or do you want to move on to some trades that we can talk about?
And this is a down the road. This is maybe a next podcast, Mickey. But when do you sell the future? And like coming in the playoffs and things like that. Like I was thinking about, like Jeremy and I were talking about this morning, how like I don't know if I would ever sell all 3 years of my futures, like a few teams in our league have. And maybe there's a time to do it. Maybe there's a time not to do it. But you've done it over a course of a couple of trades. I don't know. It might be an interesting conversation down the road where it's like, if and Hoops sold his future, he'd be in the second round right now. Is that worth it? Is that worth it for one more win and then maybe teetering out? I don't know. But that's something I want to explore down the road.
I'd be down on that one. I'd be in on that one.
Yeah, that's an interesting conversation we can definitely table for right now and come back to maybe right in the off season when it gets there, or next week, for sure. But this was an interesting idea that you brought up, Jim. Was talking about trades that weren't in our league. We're going to start with one that was in our league, however. but looking at some of these trades and analyzing them a little bit, seeing what these veteran injuries are creating in the trade market. So first off, we have David Montgomery, and if I can pull it up here. Well, Jeremy, you were part of this trade, so you could probably tell me what it was, right?
Yeah, it was David Montgomery. I acquired David Montgomery, and
You were
in
out of
exchange,
playoffs.
correct. I'm completely out of playoffs. I'm looking
Yes,
at done points. I did need running back depth. I traded for Jonathan Brooks. His knee exploded. I'm back to needing running back depth.
Not the whole
So-
knee, just the one PCL. I think his
Sorry?
ACL is still intact.
I don't think so. Unless it's nevertheless. So I wanted to have I wanted to have a running back into it, and as advertised, I am a big fan of David Montgomery. I like his potential. I love that offensive line in front of him. I like what he's done last year. I like even more what he's done this year. I don't see this injury being anything that's going to significantly affect his production next year. So I wanted to capitalize. So so it was David Montgomery to me in exchange for Jerome Ford, who's now in place of RB1 because Chubb broke his foot, and then Justice Hill from Baltimore went to her along with a third and a fifth.
Yeah. So this was a must, in my opinion. You might have been able to get something else for David Montgomery, but I wasn't sure how much more. She had no depth in running back.
But she didn't have another healthy running back, yeah.
Yeah, she needed this so bad.
They're going to get her 3 points max. So she had to go out and get somebody, and Jerome Ford made the most sense.
100% agree.
Cheap, but also you were able to get some extra things added onto it. Justice Hill, I told her that we talked before she made this trade, and I suggested not Justice Hill, try to get Kendrick Miller.
I don't know if the deal would have been made with Kendrick Miller.
I wouldn't worry about the picks, but yeah, I get that. But that's what I suggested because Kendrick could be the starter this weekend, and then you have two major starters for the weekend that you need to make it to the final to get in the money, as I like to say. I don't even talk about the final. I talk about getting the money. So Justice Hill playing this weekend, probably not going to happen because it's the Baltimore Ravens against the Steelers. Those games are, 17-point max?
Yeah, but I mean, that's a depth piece for her. Again, it was reiterated depth piece. You can be able to throw Ford in for the remainder of the playoffs because, again, he's RB1 with Chubb out, so that automatically was the main piece there. So I think, like I said, I think it was a good deal both ways.
Yeah. Jim, what do you think?
This is why you don't have trade deadlines in leagues.
1,000% agree.
So that
could be something added into what did I learn?
It's a win-win, but it's also like a win-lose, right? It's Nikki's going to win the trade for now, and then Jeremy will win the trade next year. Like that's just kind of how. But that's like a win-win because.
But if she wins any piece of the money.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like it's a win. I mean, like
and then Jeremy's got a better team for next year. Absolutely.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Dynasty is
exactly what I said.
Week to week, it's win now, and she's getting the points. She's winning the trade right now. And then next year, like when Ford may not be a starter and Justice Hill is still the third down back, like Jeremy will win the trade then. So but that's a win-win trade. That's how that's what Dynasty is. It's a what are you doing for me right now versus hey, I'm bad. So these are the trades that Jeremy and I and even you should be making.
And then to reiterate, that's now lost points from my bench. Ford was going to get double what he was obtaining. So that's now gone. Justice Hill, even the minute points he was getting, now gone. And I was able to acquire David Montgomery, who's not getting anything. So
that's a good point as well. The funny thing is you scored the second highest points with whatever team you had, the second highest points in the toilet bowl. That's how bad we are. I don't know if you knew that.
That just highlights how ready I am for next year.
Yeah, right.
So it's just a 1 week luck. Which I'm banking on.
I was thinking of 1 week luck, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, Monty's going to help you. I do have one other question about Montgomery since you made the trade for him. Seeing Gibbs play solo is probably what we're going to see. does it worry you that they're going to be like, dude, this guy's an every down back?
Absolutely not. Because
Well,
he
they've
just
done it for
signed.
2 years now.
Yeah, he just signed a big deal for 2-year extension, and as long as Dan Campbell's the head coach of the Detroit Lions, Montgomery's going to have at least 40% of the share. I mean, that's his boy. That's the kind of running back style that he enjoys. That's the kind of running back style that team is built on. Gibbs is just such a superior talent, and that's no knock on Gibbs. But when Gibbs was drafted, and I didn't really flinch having a Montgomery when he was drafted. I mean, I actually pursued him in that offseason, but nevertheless, I don't think if this was something like an Achilles or something, then yes, by all means, I'd be a little bit more concerned. But running backs or nowadays running backs come back from this kind of stuff in 8 months. So I am 6-8 months. So I'm not concerned at this point.
Well, and sometimes higher volume doesn't mean more success.
Correct.
That's
It's
a very
100%
good point
correct
as well.
because you look like you think of like the fantasy like you remember the LeGarrette Blunt days like. That dude got like 10 carries a game, but all 10 were in the red zone. He got 3 touchdowns. Like, I mean, that's so it's like that aspect. But no, I anticipate Montgomery to have still very similar to the amount of ball share that he had. I agree. We're going to see some electric stuff with Gibbs here being all by himself, but I don't see that this replaces Montgomery.
All right. I was curious about that because Gibbs is number 3 running back with Montgomery. I don't know if he catches Saquon or not, but because of the lead. But I'm hearing 25 average a game is what is expected for him for fantasy right now. Which just, if I'm a Montgomery owner, I'm a little bit worried about how it happens next year. But
no,
I know you feel comfortable, which is good.
He just signed that used extension. He's gonna be fine. He's gonna be worked into it. In a fantasy football aspect, it's working. Gibbs and Montgomery are working. In a real life, more important scenario, it's working. That was a 1-2 punch. I'm curious to see on the negative aspect what Gibbs does, to see how that run scheme gets played against defensively now. But nevertheless, that's a whole other aspect we could talk about in another week once we see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Another trade that I see for David Montgomery was a first and a second. Which this is a Superflex little tight end premium. 10 teams, start 10, 4 pass touchdowns, 1 PPR. And a 2026 first round and a 2025 second round. Now, we don't know when those are.
That better be a late first, so that is yuck.
Right? Yes. I was thinking the same thing.
I wasn't given a first for David Montgomery. Like, I do know his value. But I don't.
He's not sexy. He's going to give you 14 points a game. Like, he's not sexy, but that's what he's going to do, and that's all you need sometimes.
Yeah, Amen. And then I got one more for you here, just because I think it's kind of interesting. David Montgomery, and this might have been before the injury, for Xavier Worthy and Braylon Allen. Now, that's the team looking to the future, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm looking more than one right below it. How the heck do you do Barkley in a second for Montgomery in a first? Oh, yuck.
Yeah, that first has to die.
Yeah, it has to be.
Better be like the 101.
2025 first round straight up for David Montgomery. That's interesting.
I mean, it's just weird though, because it's like, who's spending a first on an injured running back? Like,
these are, I think some of these trades may have been right before.
Yeah, I'm curious what the timestamp is on these.
Which is, maybe, but it's like, I mean, even if you're tanking, you're getting it, but I mean, that's not. Why would you want an injured player?
Again, I have David Montgomery now in 75% of my dynasty leagues. I am a huge David Montgomery fan, and I am not spending a first for David Montgomery. I don't care what position it is. I go, if it's the 1-1, 110, 114, I ain't spending a first for David Montgomery.
You might as well save that for next year and buy when he's healthy. You're buying him at peak instead of getting the dip on cost because he's hurt.
Correct.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I don't see any trades after the injury to Montgomery for Gibbs. However,
that Kenneth Walker trade's interesting.
Which one's that? Where's that at?
Kenneth
Walker, Sam Darnold, and Chris Godwin for Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm a Gibbs lover. Okay, I would take that deal.
It's still weird though. I don't know. It's like, why? Okay, like you're getting Walker and Darnold, which are win now pieces, but then it's like, hey, I'm gonna get Godwin, who's out for the year. Like it's
This
like
looks
I don't
like
know.
a setup
It's like
for
kind of
next
what
year.
we've been talking about. Like, are you all the way in, or are you still have one foot out the door thinking about next year? It's like
That's a good point. I can see what you're talking about here because it's like a win now and a win later, but the win later is older, so it's like I don't really. In coming off injury, like I agree. Like I don't know where this person's at.
Yeah, I don't think that's a win now trade because if you're winning now,
Cam
you're not
Darnold's a
bad.
win now trade though. Like you don't know you
Yeah.
don't know what his future's going to be. Like he might sign extension in Minnesota. They might go somewhere else. They might trade him. Like that's a win now move.
He's going to end up top 5 in the MVP.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but
there's
once
no
again,
way he's not going to be a starter next
if
year.
you're thinking for the future though, like I don't want that risk. I don't want if he stays in Minnesota, great, but I don't want that risk of going somewhere like Carolina, for example, or
Cleveland.
yeah, like I don't want that risk. Why would I take that risk now? I'll wait to the offseason where I know where he's going first. I'd rather pay a little bit extra and know for sure.
So I mean, I guess I understand that. I kind of like that trade to be honest with you because Kenneth Walker
If I'm
is a
winning
really
now,
good running
sure.
back, as well. But and then I was hoping to be able to find some trades after the injury to Nick Chubb as well, since he got injured for Jerome Ford. I don't know if this was before or after, but
That was probably it could have been.
I'm assuming it was before. 225 third round picks for Jerome Ford.
That's probably good value. I'd take that. I mean, if I'm trying to win, that's not a bad like. I mean, if I was a Jerome Ford owner, I'd probably want a second. If you're offering 2/3, I'd probably I could probably push you to that second. But
right.
I mean, for 1 week, 2 weeks of starting, I mean that's good value.
Yeah. Jerome Ford and Devon Belay, who I think's out for the year. For Amari Cooper.
They like him.
That's
though.
just an
they
interesting one for me.
They like him in Denver.
That's just an interesting one. That's all. Not too much about Ford right now. Also, you have Walker on one of your teams. Is he coming back soon, or what's going on there?
I don't know, but the only thing that was promising is he was doubtful this week. So hopefully he'll play. Otherwise, I'm going shopping.
I honestly think that they, especially depending on where they're at in the playoff situation, I think they could definitely easily bench him for another week or two.
So we'll see. But they never share. So if he's healthy, I'm starting him. They never see the timeshare there. So, but we'll see.
They don't, and I'm always confused why because they have two really good backs.
Yeah, I mean, Darbs is showing exactly that he is a reliable asset. So
I don't know. Based off some of these trades, I have no problem buying Charbonnet at these prices.
Yeah, second round pick for Charbonnet? Sure, why not? I'll take the risk.
But see, that's the thing though. Is like that's where it's like working the same tier. Ford's in the same tier. I'd rather pay 2/3 in a second.
So a couple other trades there for him. I'm trying to find. Kamara was the big one we were talking about, and I'm hoping that we can find something after the.
The problem is you just don't know if he's out yet. I was even doing some research last night, and you just don't know if he's out yet. So we might need to wait until next week. It might be too late, but
I'm a little bit more confident he plays over Walker.
No, I have less confidence.
You have less?
I mean, they're not playing for anything. He's a 29-year-old back. Why would you keep rolling him out there?
Yeah, let Kendre, and I said this earlier
Sorry.
with Jeremy, let Kendre see what he's got. Like, you are not making the playoffs, right? So why not see what he's got? Even though there's nobody else on that team.
Nobody.
Alvin Kamara for Christian McCaffrey straight up. That's interesting. Yeah, so not as many stud trades that I thought there would be, I guess, if that makes sense. But
I mean, they're not stud players, right? They're good. They're
Alvin Kamara
producing. I mean,
that
he's
Kamara,
29 years old. I mean, you're not. He's a great
Kamara for CMC trade. That Kamara for CMC trade screams. The CMC owner got CMC hurt, made a last-minute trade for Kamara, and now Kamara shelved. That's exactly what that trade screams.
And he's probably pissed off the fantasy gods, which is also not good.
That sucks, dude. I get exactly what that trade is, man. That sucks.
This trade right here, this is the last one I'm going to talk about. I'll scroll around for you guys, but Tyjae Spears for a fourth, with not knowing what's going on with Pollard right now.
Is he hurt?
Yeah, he's injured. They don't know.
I'm taking Tyjae Spears for that fourth 10 times out of 10.
I'd probably take
Today,
RJ
too.
for a second. I
That's probably like
offer in the fourth.
You know what that is? I'm tanking. I need points off my team. Go.
It's got to be. And that was today. That happened today. So
Yep.
it's
I'm playing in the toilet bowl, and I need points off my team because I'm worried.
Yeah, man. Fourth.
Yeah.
Damn. Which I want to get rid of fourth and
flip
fifth round.
Seconds and get Terry McLaurin. Do you guys see that?
Which one? Terry McLaurin?
You swap seconds, the year difference, and get Terry McLaurin.
That better be the 201. Or that's
Yeah.
It's still not. It's still gross.
It has to be.
Look at the Bo Nix one. You got Bo Nix and Olave. Go up for Zay Flowers, James Conner, Aaron Jones, and Will Levis. Oh,
I shipped Olave out of my dynasty team, man. He was long gone.
I mean, Will Levis, I could have left him on the other team. I mean, I don't even want him getting on the bus. But
oh, damn.
Was that too far?
No.
He's terrible. He's so
bad.
This
is a super flex team that has Geno Smith as their second quarterback, and they need somebody.
God, but still, even like you got 3-4 starters for one starter and a broken head. Oh boy,
broken head.
He's got 7 and 8 round rookie drafts. Come on, you get rid of the 7th and 8th round rookie drafts. I can't.
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous.
That's wild. That's wild.
I don't even know if I can name people in the 7th or 8th round.
Fifth is not good. High.
You don't want them on your team.
I have.
This is a really good trade that I probably should have done 2 weeks ago. Jaden Reed for a first, because you ain't seen that.
We talked about that on the podcast.
Yeah.
Like, that was one of our first podcasts. Like, he might be the alpha, but he's never going to be wide receiver 1. And that's proved true.
Yeah. No.
This
is interesting, though, looking at these, the trade database.
I like it.
They had this on KTC, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, this would be something that cool do right around the trade deadline, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
No trade deadlines.
Well,
no, like the typical fantasy trade deadline.
Yeah. Right before that.
Yeah, I am in agreement. That's another thing I learned this week is no trade deadlines.
This would also be very helpful right before a rookie draft.
Yes.
Yes, that's a good call.
There's probably littered with draft pick trades.
Because they probably would also have, like, the 112 was traded for. Like, you could type that in here, too, so you probably would know exactly.
Yeah, I was just going to call that out. Once it gets closer to, you can actually type out the actual seedings. It's not mid to late. You can actually type out the actual spots.
I'm sorry. I know it's completely another tangent, but we could do, like, a 101 show, a 102 show, 103 show, and just look at trades for that pick.
Bro, that's a killer idea. I could not
look at 101 trades for 40 minutes. That is not going to happen.
No, but just like, but also like, what would you buy? Like, but also like 101 for like real players that are like in the league already. It doesn't have to be
and
more
you can
like
talk about
I'm not trading down, but like, you know, hey, it's Ashton Genty. Like I traded the 101 and I included in the Josh Allen trade. Like stuff like that could be really intriguing.
Or amongst the three of us, you could talk about, okay, I have a 101 in my one league, so this is what I plan on doing with it because here's my team. I have a 101. What do you think I should do? Which one do you think I should get or do you think I should trade it? So, Mickey, you have a 103 in 2 different leagues. So let's do the 103 week where we're doing, okay, what do you plan on doing here and here?
No, I like those ideas. We can always revisit this throughout. So
it's paws off the rails today.
In a good way. It's like
the Polar Express. Yeah, not the bad way.
Yeah, it's like the Polar Express on the ice.
Nice, good call.
Look, it's the fantasy playoffs. There's not much. Like, if you're in the playoffs, there's not much you can do unless you got lucky. And if you're not in the playoffs, we've talked about it last week, you need to trade people to the people that are in the playoffs to get their picks.
Yep.
And not for next year, for the following years, when they're not going to be in the playoffs. That's another key. Don't get the 2025 if the guy's in the playoffs. Get the 2027.
Sometimes I wish we had access to 28 picks. I'd go for those instead of 25.
Well, we did originally, and we cut that off real quick in our DVP league.
Because that was the startup draft. That was the whole thing.
That was insane. What you were trading in that league, man.
It had to be done. I needed it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was a fun show, something different, a little.
Yeah, I like this a lot.
Something different, but you guys have anything else you want to add?
May Lady Luck forever be in your corner or lover or something with have luck on your side.
All right, good try. Why don't you try?
Give her a little kiss before you go to bed each night.
Good luck to all of our listeners in the pending playoffs or in pending trades that you may make as a tanking.
Except
team.
for if I'm playing against you, then I hope you lose. But everyone else, good luck. It's really just one player, one team.
Good luck, Kong.
Kong.
I'm pulling for you.
Hope you lose. But good luck in every other league.
I wouldn't mind running back our 191 to 192 run in the DVP league. That was fun.
I just hope I put up 240 for the next 2 weeks and call it a year.
No, I mean, you could try to do that too. That would work.
Until somebody puts up 255.
Yeah, good luck to everybody. And the most important thing is have fun as well, and then make money, I think. So that's all the time we got for Jimmy and Jeremy. I'm Mickey. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube, Apple, Podbean. Subscribe and comment, especially on this. Did you like what we did here with the Dynasty Trade or database or not? Yeah, let us know. And
give us suggestions.
Absolutely. Always looking for those. But other than that, have a great night.
Thanks, guys.